When we think of deserts, we often imagine a desolate landscape, a wasteland where life cannot survive. In this vast, lifeless environment, even birds can't find a place to live, let alone lush green vegetation. However, it is in this seemingly barren land that the Chinese have created an achievement that shocked the world. Over the past 40 years, China has built a huge reservoir in this desert, completely improving the drinking water needs of 300,000 people. So, why did China choose to build this reservoir in the desert? Where does the water in the desert come from? In the last century, China's northwest region suffered from barren land, harsh environment, and severe sandstorms. According to statistics, the annual precipitation in these areas is very low, less than 100 millimeters, while the evaporation is as high as 1,000 to 3,000 millimeters. This extreme climate condition results in extremely scarce local water resources. Imagine that when villagers wake up every morning, the first thing they face is how to solve the daily water problem. There are usually only a few drops of muddy water left in the water tanks in their homes, and even washing their faces and hands has become a luxury. When water resources were at their peak, they couldn't even secure drinking water and had to carry water cans and walk dozens of miles to get water from distant places. The shortage of water resources not only seriously affects residents' daily water use, but also results in the irrigation rate of farmland in these areas being less than 30%, and many lands are abandoned due to lack of water. In terms of industry, many factories cannot operate normally due to the lack of stable water sources, which further inhibits the development of the local economy. Faced with this situation, China proposed a bold plan: to build a huge reservoir in the desert. As far as I know, this reservoir is called Hongyashan Reservoir. It is located in the northeastern part of China's Heshi Corridor, the lower reaches of the Shiyang River, and is surrounded by the Tanger Desert and the Badaren Desert. The height of this artificial lake reaches 15.1 meters, the dam length is 8,060 meters, and it has a huge water storage capacity of nearly 100 million cubic meters. The reservoir covers an area of 25 square kilometers and controls a drainage area of 13,400 square kilometers. The construction of the Hongyashan Reservoir began in 1958, but considering that it is located between two deserts, the natural environment here is extremely harsh, and it is hit by up to 58 sandstorms every year. These violent sandstorms not only caused a strong impact on the reservoir dam, but also seriously eroded the reservoir capacity, posing huge challenges to construction. Faced with this dilemma, Chinese engineers decided to solve the sandstorm problem first. After 2 years of unremitting efforts, workers adopted wheat straw sand fixing technology and planted a large number of Haloxylon amodendron, red poplar, Elaeagnus, and other plants. These plants not only take root firmly in the desert, stabilizing the flowing sand dunes, but also gradually improve the surrounding ecological environment. This creates conditions for subsequent reservoir construction. The basic engineering of Hongyashan Reservoir was basically completed in 1960, and water storage began in the winter of the same year. The initial storage capacity reached 37 million cubic meters. By 1966, the main project of the reservoir was completed and officially completed and accepted in July. Although the initial facilities were insufficient, after 2 large-scale reconstructions, it was not until 1997 that the reservoir facilities were finally completed. At this time, the amount of project construction reached 30 million yuan. The completion of the Hongyashan Reservoir is not just the completion of a project, it has brought endless benefits to local residents. According to statistics, this reservoir provides up to 900,000 acres of farmland irrigation area for the local area. Nourished by this endless supply of water, crops can thrive and production efficiency is significantly improved. Compared with before, crop production has surged by nearly 80%, and farmers' income has doubled as a result. In addition to its huge contribution to agriculture, due to the sufficient water resources, the production efficiency of local factories has been improved, fishery resources have been effectively utilized, and tourism has attracted more tourists to explore this beautiful place. The development of these industries brings economic income of more than 30 million yuan to northwest China every year. What's more worth mentioning is that local residents who once often worried about domestic water can now get clear and sweet water from the reservoir at any time. According to statistics, the impact of the Hongyashan Reservoir covers more than 300,000 local residents, and all of them are grateful for the tremendous changes brought about by the reservoir. Interestingly, although the construction of the Hongyashan Reservoir has brought many benefits to local residents, some Western media have different views on this project. At the International Water Resources Forum in 2000, they pointed out that although the construction of the reservoir solved local water resources problems, the water storage process may have changed the natural flow direction of the river and affected the ecological environment downstream. In addition, reservoir construction may cause groundwater levels to rise, causing soil salinization and other problems. This may not only affect the growth of crops, but may also pose a potential threat to the health of local residents. Therefore, they advocate that water resources issues should be solved in a more sustainable way rather than relying solely on large-scale water conservancy projects. So, are the facts really what the Western media says? Before we delve into this issue, we might as well learn about Chingu Lake in China. Chingu Lake is located in Minqing County, Gansu Province, near the lower reaches of the Shiyang River. The water source of Hongyashan Reservoir mainly comes from the Shiyang River, which flows from the Qilian Mountains and Mazong Mountains through Wuwei City and finally flows into the Hongyashan Reservoir. Therefore, the construction of the Hongyashan Reservoir is equivalent to a water interception, which causes the two deserts of Tanger and Badaren to intersect and merge into one. This change has made the sand layer 3 to 6 meters thick, the wind sand line an astonishing 13 kilometers long, and the quicksand approaching the oasis at a rate of 8 to 10 meters per year. By the 1990s, this area had become part of Badaren, the third largest desert in China. The situation in the Minqing Lake district is even more shocking. Data show that desertified land is increasing at a rate of 2.3% every year, with 7,000 acres of land turning into desert every year. On the other hand, the local village is surrounded by two deserts, surrounded by vast deserts and sparse vegetation, which makes the evaporation of water on the surface of the reservoir unobstructed. Driven by a hot desert climate, evaporation is huge. Incredibly, the Hongyashan Reservoir faced the risk of drying up in the first year after it was successfully built after all the painstaking efforts. This is undoubtedly a huge blow. After all, it took 40 years of manpower and material resources to complete this project. In order to promptly remedy the damage caused by the Hongyashan Reservoir to the downstream and solve the problem of large evaporation in the reservoir, the Chinese government decided to invest 456 million yuan in expansion in 2016. After a series of reinforcement and expansion projects, it is understood that the storage capacity of the reservoir has increased from the initial 99 million cubic meters to 148 million cubic meters, and the flood diversion storage capacity has also reached 25.03 million cubic meters. The water area and reservoir storage area have been expanded to 25 square kilometers and 15 square kilometers respectively. Today, Hongyashan Reservoir has not only become one of the largest desert reservoirs in Asia, but also provides precious water resources to more than 500,000 local residents every year.